you don't want to get, yeah, you don't want to get caught in a bad situation.
I feel like they're about to push an update like tomorrow.
I mean, they might, and then you can't use it, or there might be certain bugs or, whatever. But yeah, just make sure you guys are extra cautious, back up everything. If you don't have it on your computer, you got to download it this, either today or at least this week. Download it, get all your stuff hooked up so that you have access to everything. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Didn't see it really coming. It was pretty much a blindside, right?
Yeah, there was actually some people that were sending me warnings, but obviously, I didn't believe them.
Right.
It's just like MetaTrader. Who knows? Who would have thought?
Yeah, right. The main app. Like, I mean, C Trader's still up there, right? I'm pretty sure. Or
Yeah, C
hold on, let me
Trader's up there.
okay.
C Trader's out there.
Yeah, definite surprise.
Dude, huge surprise. But what are you gonna do? I mean, looking at this, there was this article that was posted by this blog that's like not shitty, and basically what they were saying was, I think they got some like comments from someone from MetaQuotes.
Okay.
But they received a letter from Apple on Friday stating the firm's trading apps do not comply with the App Store's review guidelines.
Okay.
And then a lot of people were saying there was a huge scam recently that went down that involved MetaTrader in the US. So maybe that had something to do with it. Let's see.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, frauds and scams. That's I figured that's what their basis was.
and then Apple provided assurance that customers who have already downloaded the apps will not be affected. These customers can still use the apps on their devices. This is probably bullshit. Like Apple's probably just saying this
Yeah.
just to like push it up.
Customer satisfaction. Yeah, just
Yeah, like they're just like, oh, we'll push an update. I'll beat. Let's see. Does not supposed to.
oh,
Nope.
for desktop usage. Oh, so you can get a tablet technically.
Yeah, you can still use desktop versions of it. People were also saying that it was linked to Russia, like because I guess MetaQuotes is a Russian, like originally from Russia and like a Russian company.
Okay.
And they were saying maybe the App Store like is boycotting Russian origin apps, but I feel like that
Right.
would be very extreme.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Definitely on the extreme side.
Quotes is dismissed such.
But yeah, it's here. Whole section on it.
Yeah, they're dismissing that. Apple in effort to clarify.
How are you guys coping with it? Let me know what you guys are doing in chat as well.
Yeah, interested what you guys think about the situation going on. Obviously, as of right now, it doesn't really affect us too much, but say that there's some sort of iOS update and a bunch of people update their phones and like can't use MetaTrader, that's obviously going to be a big issue. And then yeah, anyone that has Android is pretty much unaffected by this.
Yeah.
Which is also just pretty interestingly. I wonder what percentage of our user base like uses iPhone versus Android versus like trades on the computer.
Oh, definitely over 3/4, I would think.
You think
I might be
so?
wrong. I might be wrong though. I mean, we are pretty global, and I know that. I mean, at least in the US, Apple's definitely super popular. But yeah,
Yeah, I would
I don't know.
imagine. I would definitely imagine that most people have iPhone. I'm just wondering how many people actually use desktop.
Yeah. Oh, of that percentage, yeah, like very small.
Yeah, I would assume. Like I saw somebody post on their story and they were like, yeah, traders need to stop acting like trading is like playing Candy Crush and
Right.
need to start trading on the computer.
Like playing Candy Crush. Just jump right in.
That's like
There
part of the
you go.
allure of it though. And I know a lot of people are using it like just maybe they're entering on their computer and then they're like monitoring the trades.
Right.
That's like a huge thing. So it's not like that big a deal, but like say you wanted to close your position earlier.
Yeah, now you gotta have your PC or laptop or whatever you're using. Can't be on the phone.
For the people asking, is this a US thing or a worldwide thing? I think it's It's a worldwide. I think it's just an app store thing. I don't think it's directly like a US kind of app store. Looks like it's just in the Apple App Store. It's removed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be worldwide. I mean, unless somebody in chat here has an iPhone outside the US wants to check real quick or verify for us. But yeah, I'd imagine it's global.
It's worldwide. And I guess, yeah, a lot of people that are international use Android.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like a US trend, I guess. But yeah, I mean, ever-changing market, this is kind of how it goes. We got to adapt.
It's global. Yeah, it's definitely a global thing. It's just not, well, at first people thought it was only the US, but it's not. It's a global issue. At least that's what I think. That's what this
Yeah.
person.
So I mean, I don't think there's any real signs or articles about it coming back or this being reversed. So, this may be the new direction for using these apps.
It says MT4, MT5 boasted a combined 78% share of the market.
Oh my God, end of 2020. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, they're the first. They're the biggest top dogs. I mean, I had MT5. I didn't use it that much. I had a couple accounts for it, but I mean, 80 to 90% of my work was done on MT4.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like we know there's C Trader, there's Trading View, but like, what are the other alternatives?
There's a couple other. I mean, isn't it Trade Station? That's another one. I know you could plug into Trading View now. I mean, there's some out there. Just not, obviously not as popular. I think C Trader probably is like in that top 3, top 4. It's gotta be.
But yeah, that being said, let's actually start it off. We've been covering some fundamentals. I'm gonna pull them up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, after last week, that was pretty serious. A lot of movement out of the dollar.
Yeah, dollar went pretty nuts last week. So let's pull
Yeah.
up fundamentals for TFT, guys. If you guys are in there, the way that the funded accounts work is it looks at the red folders on Forex Factory, and the news rule applies to only those folders. So this week, rather chill week, but obviously we have this douchebag speaking on Wednesday, Senor Powell.
Good old Powell.
So he's gonna definitely drive some momentum there. We have this all-day Italian parliamentary election. This is not going to be like really anything that significant. But yeah, it looks like Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got loaded days. So right in the middle of the week. So this is definitely going to be things to look out for. We got 7:30 a.m. And then what is this guy? Speak twice? Like, what's the deal with this? Oh, this is like a panel. And then this is this is when he delivers his thing. So
you might not actually see anything until around 10:15. Depends if he slips or, what their plans are. If they're going to make, other changes to like further tighten things that they're doing, then yeah, we'll probably see, a negative outlook. Or if, it's seemingly positive on their report, then we'll see the dollar continue to rally. But yeah, we'll have to see on that day.
this is like so interesting how this is such a high, like volatile event, and it's only them surveying 3,000 households. Like, you would think that they would expand the data set.
Yeah, get a larger pool. 3,000 is not even half of a small city. Like,
yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's the Federal Reserve inflation measure. Then we have this. So this is probably going to be significant if this thing comes in different than expected. This has to do with inflation. So there's a lot in regards to USD. I mean, NZD looks like this guy's speaking as well. So there's some things to look out for CAD and NZD news on Thursday. But yeah, everyone, it's good to correlate these when we do our analysis. If you're lining up trades on any of these pairs, definitely be mindful because there's going to be a lot more volatility when these events go down. So once it comes out, it's really good to check what the outcomes were, how people are anticipating it, and you can use those as catalysts, in your trading. It's always good to combine the fundamentals and the technicals. So yeah, that being said, I'm gonna let Nick share his screen. How it works is he's gonna run through, I think 6 pairs about, and then I'm gonna run through 6 pairs. So he's gonna cover all of his analysis. We will do a giveaway. All you gotta do is post on Instagram story, you guys on the session. So just post a story with you guys on the session, tag the funded trader, tag Forex League. We do have the TFT Instagram back, so it's time.
Oh yeah, it was a big week for us last week getting that back.
Bounce
But
back.
yeah, just let me share here.
Oh yeah, hold
And
on.
yeah, so good coverage there from Angelo. It's always good to be aware of the news. If you're, even considering it or, weighing it more significantly in your trading, or if you're just making yourself aware of it, both approaches are good. You just never want to get caught off guard, right? If something big's coming out for, the US dollar and you trade a lot of the majors, it's better to be aware of it. Come Wednesday, if you're in a trade and something happens, you're pulling your hair out because you have no idea what it's from. So yeah, definitely want to avoid that. I'm sure we've all experienced quite a few of them. But let's take it from the top. We're going to start off with DXY, the dollar itself, the big dog, the guy that's been kind of running the market lately, right? Just been the dollar doing its thing. So let's start this off. This is kind of my method for scoping trades, and I'm going to do this on every single pair. So the first thing I'm going to do is make myself aware of the overall trend on the daily time frame, which is very bullish, and we can see that and identify the trend just by looking for the characteristics of a bullish trend or bearish trend, right? And seeing if that's very clear or not. So we could see here, if we just follow price action, we saw some higher highs, some higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, all the way up, very clearly bullish. We're at a high now. So we can now take that information and go to the 4-hour, bring our tools on, and then this is like relevant price action for us for the week ahead. So this is what we want to zone in on and see what's going on, look for reaction to kind of plot from here. So this is a massive rally out of the dollar, and it's actually failed to give us structure, meaning, a higher low that's hit at least 38.2%. So we grabbed it from the bottom, 100% to 0%, clearly at a high. Doesn't really show signs of slowing down yet, but we want to make ourselves aware of what we'd like to see to, consider this, either a continuation or if it's going to reverse on us and go bearish. So we have this here. Our first point of structure is down here near 38.2, close to 110.7. It also lines up with the prior high. Ideally, if price action pulled back, maybe settled here, gave us some consolidation, and then started pushing to the upside again, that says to us this is a healthy trend, that we can kind of get behind that. We can get, confidence if we see that and say, okay, this is going to go bullish, and we'll take that information and bring it on to, our tradable pairs, right? Because we're just analyzing this, guys. We're using DXY more or less as an indicator. If I'm seeing strong evidence that this is going to be bullish for the week ahead, you're probably going to see that on a lot of the major pairs as well. Wherever the dollar is, it's going to be reacting, more bullishly or more bearishly, depending on what we're seeing here. So that's how we'll use this. And I'm not going to be, hyper focused on DXY either, where I'm seeing like, oh, there's a bullish engulfing here. Is there a bearish engulfing on AU? It doesn't really work like that. It's more or less just a suggestion of the direction that it's going to go. Okay, so that's important too, though. I mean, that's very powerful. The dollar makes up for 80% of all trade. So, if it's going one direction, it's more than likely going to have some effect that you could then spot, be aware of, make good decisions from. All right, so this would be the most ideal, the most clear to us, just the best structure overall. So nice pullback, nice higher low there, and then a continuation. Now, this can definitely continue to rally right now. Who's to say that this is the definite 0%, right? This could definitely keep going, but this is where we're at right now. This is all the information we have, and that's all we can work with. Okay, so it is bullish. We're aware of that. There's massive potential for a pullback, but too soon to really call it either way. So we made ourselves aware of what's going on DXY. Can't really spot too much, kind of a waiting phase. So let's jump over to AUD USD, our first tradable pair. And we're going to do the same thing, same process we just covered on DXY. Jump up to the daily time frame and just assess the trend. So for those of you guys that don't know, AUD USD is inversely correlated to the dollar. So this chart will be, moving lower, to some degree, right? And we can see that here in the price action. Lower lows, lower highs, at a low now, maybe the lower low, maybe we're still pushing. Overall, we can see that this chart is bearish on the daily. So now let's go to the 4-hour. Bring our drawing tools back on, square this up, and zone in here on the 4-hour time frame. So let's just follow price action, and then we'll kind of explain what's going on down here. So we've actually been in a very nice, very clear bearish channel. right? And I don't use trend lines as support or resistance. They're more or less just a visual aid to highlight a trend. And that does a really good job here, right? Moving lower very clearly. We found some support here at 0.67. Saw a nice bounce, then ultimately broke that level. And we've been falling off since then. So now we can see price actions resting at a new level, 0.655. And now we're pretty much waiting for reactions, right? When we find price action come to a significant zone, we're pretty much looking for a break or bounce, and then we'll play it, whichever way it goes from there. We're not going to predict it. Overall, it is bearish, so that would be the most likely to continue short. There's a lot of confidence behind that. And it's with the trend, it's not a counter trend trade. So naturally, we'd look to, lean into the short position, which we would need to see a complete break of 0.655. So price action really falls to a low, finds some significant presence down here, and then pulls back and rejects this level, giving us a lower high, confirming the trend, confirming structure all in the same, and then we could look to short from there, target down towards our next support level. And I went ahead and marked this trade up just for the visual. It's always good. And it's roughly a 3-to-1. We're risking 40, looking to get 120. And depending on where that price action actually does execute, if it does so, that'll determine where your stop loss is exactly. Right, but we're in the ballpark of 3-to-1, 2.5-to-1 area. So let's consider the opposite for a second, because again, we're not predicting, we're following. Let's say price action pushes up, right? Comes back, gives us a higher low, and then starts pushing higher from there. That would be the first sign of us considering AU more bullish. But even then, the max we could target would be 0.67, and then we'd look for break or bounce from that level. And yeah, that's pretty much holding price action bearish. So if this really is going to continue bullish at that point, we're looking for a break above that, more structure, and then continue to play it, as price action forms. But yeah, looking pretty good this week. Just need to see, a little bit more confirmation, some nice structure, and then we got a great trade here on AU. So this is going to be pretty exciting if it plays out. Good trade waiting for us there. Let's take this over to AJ now, though. We're going to do the same process, daily time frame. Zoom this out a little bit, clear up the chart. All right, so let's see where we're at. Let's just follow price action. We formed a higher high, higher low, higher high, ton of consolidation, still technically bullish. See this support level here. We saw a ton of rejection, a lot of wicks. Finally continued bullish to a high, and then reversed pretty hard. So we're actually falling back into an area of consolidation. So you can even see from this time frame that it's definitely bearish on the 4-hour. That's a significant fall, right? And then here on the, the daily, right? This has been like a couple weeks of just falling. So I would definitely consider it bearish because we broke back in, but we haven't seen bearish structure in the form of like a lower high here on the daily. So that's something to, be aware of. It's due for some sort of pullback. Will it hold? Kind of hard to tell at this point, but we can drop down with that information, go to the 4-hour, zone in, and see what we can make of this week. Okay, so here's that fall off, right? Huge bearish pressure. Kind of just, we hit this high up here, right at, what is this, 98.5, and then just tanked. Started taking out higher lows here, pushing lower. We took out 96 level as well. And then also 95. So we threw a fib on it, right, from here. I didn't like this wick. I'm not going to grab it from up here. I want like an actual normal candle, not influenced by news whatsoever, which that clearly is. So I grabbed it from this candle, the start of it, down to the low. And it looks like we did form structure, it pulled back. We rejected 38.2, which is really what we look for. A lot of confluence there, so that's pretty good. But the only problem with this is it's more or less an active trade. If you got in here, you'd pretty much be targeting down towards 93, a very similar setup to what we have marked. So it's pretty much an active trade. If you're not in it already, what do we need to see to get into this? Ideally, it would pull back up, reject off 38.2 once more, giving us a double top pattern. And also, I wouldn't mind that pattern at all because that would represent consolidation. And this is a pretty high volume downtrend that we just experienced. So consolidation is always nice. Kind of brings us back to normal market conditions, right? So that would be good. And then we can make the play down towards 93 support. We mark the trade up. This is also a 3-to-1, looking to get 150, risking about 50 pips. And this will slightly vary depending on where that actually comes in, if it does so. Now, what's the opposite on AJ? What do we need to see to look at this chart and say, all right, this is definitely bullish. We're starting to gain confidence in buying AJ again. It would start with a break above 95 and then a higher low above. So really just need to see good momentum, break above this zone, gain some significance up here, pull back, give us a higher low, and then follow through. And we'll target 96 and look for the breaker bounce from there. So really, whichever way this goes, if it does decide to pull back and touch 95 again, we're going to have pretty good options. We're going to have a good long scenario marked up. We're going to have a good short scenario marked up. The only way that this could go bad is if this just drops right now, right? It completes this bearish move, pushes to 93, and then we'll look to see how it reacts there. But yeah, I mean, pretty good setups. Just need to see something play out. Okay, you're talking in chat. All right. That's AJ. Let's move over to UJ. Same thing, guys. Let's go through the routine, daily time frame, clear it up, address the overall daily trend, which is very much bullish. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and we're at a higher high now. So strong characteristics of a bullish trend. Thing has kind of just been, pumping higher and higher as alongside DXY, that is. So let's go to the 4-hour, zone in on this week, see what price action is telling us. So we don't need all this down here, right? This is all the way back beginning of August. We don't need that. We need to zoom in on what's relevant, right? So this week really is represented here. The last couple of weeks and the future week is right here. This is what's important to us. So we rallied into 145, started rejecting, started getting some consolidation. We did have our last attempt here at 145. So this would have been the third touch. And then boom, here comes the news. Here comes a huge bearish candle. It just takes out all these levels here, these higher lows, right? Right at 142.85, tanks all the way down to 140, and then comes back with the same kind of energy. So it's kind of tough to say, after you see this much volume, you really want to see a pattern, or, I wouldn't mind some consolidation like this. It just needs to slow down. We need to see structure. Things need to become more clear. Ideally we can spend a little more time around 142.85, that we can catch some sort of higher low, maybe ride this back up to 145. And this is a good trade too. I mean, there's a lot of pips here. This is almost a 200 pip range from 142.85 to 145. You can see that just shy of 200 pips. And we marked up the trade where we'd be risking about 50. So not bad. Over a 3.5 to 1 could be a good opportunity there, but the price action has to be, perfect. You can't just enter on this, right? You need to see the pullback. You need to see a very clear higher low with strong variations, or, Morningstar, bullish engulfing, something like that, something very, very clear to you. And then you can enter on that. Okay. But usually I try to stay away from high volume stuff, especially if price action, the follow-up price action doesn't act accordingly. It just makes it harder to really find anything, worth your while. So let's consider the opposite. If price action breaks back into the lower half of this range here that we've been seeing, we'll look for a lower high below 142.85. Nice rejection from there. Wouldn't mind some wicks. It's a nice, bearish engulfings, whatever. Then we'll enter on that, take the opposite position, target down towards 140. And so again, whichever way it goes, I mean, we're ready. It just needs to form the right price action for us to entertain the idea. Because I'm not just going to be randomly taking trades or recommending that either. All right, so let's move over to EJ. Daily time frame. Where are we at? This one's a little trickier, a little choppier, a little more dramatic, but let's just follow price action and find out where we are now. So we're moving higher, as we could see here. So a little bit of consolidation, huge rally, higher high, higher low, higher high. Then we broke the higher low right here. Got our first lower low, lower high, lower low, a little bit of consolidation. Broke this lower high here. This was the flip back to bullish. But then there's something to notice here, right? Once we did flip and once it did go bullish, we failed to get significant higher lows, right? That are kind of required for this amount of volume. You really want to see a steady trend. You don't just want a chart ever to just run in one direction. It's going to come back at some point if it hasn't formed healthy structure. And then what do you know? That's exactly what happened here. Came all the way back down, huge volume, almost the same amount going back up. So now it's looking more bearish, right? Just inherently 3 large candles. Definitely looks more bearish, but we are pretty much back in the zone where this lower high was, right? So it is technically bullish until this zone is broken, right at 138. According to the daily, obviously on the 4-hour, it's super bearish. So this means we now have to drop down. We're at a key zone and we have to try and make sense of it and see which way it's going to go. Okay, so we're dropping down. Here we are, right? Very key area. We pushed up, saw our head and shoulders play out, tanked from there. Here's some news as well. Took us below 142 and just dropped, right? Broke 140 as well. But you know, same thing as I said before on the other chart. When you see this much volume, there's not much you can do with it until you see normal market conditions, you know, present themselves again. So I went ahead and drew in this bar pattern, which kind of represents some consolidation. I'd really like for this to spend some time here below 140, give us rejection of 140 over here, and then we can make a play down, right, and follow this 4-hour bearish trend down towards 137. Okay, so pretty good trade over 3-to-1, risking 80, marked up 250. So that really, to me, is what I ideally would need to see to entertain this. Right now, this could very well just keep dropping, right? I mean, it could just tank right now, and there's no trade opportunity, right? And then we have to look for reactions at 137. Look for the break or bounce from there. Okay, I'll tell you, if we break 137, this could drop dramatically, because that's really, let's see if we zoom out here, right? That's where this lower high was. If we break 137, so this is our target. We're trying to get down to this level. But if we break 137, that really opens up a lot of opportunity for us, because that now then changes the daily trend, and we could be seeing a lot of bearish pressure below 137. But that's kind of a future analysis. We'll get to that probably next week. We'll see how this week plays out. This is what's on the table for us this week, right? We have to see still how this is going to play out and how 140 is going to hold up. So like we said, a little bit of consolidation, nice conviction here, stepping in, and then we could target lower, enter short. If this does rally above 140, we'll just have to look for reactions around 142. That would be the secondary trade path. I wouldn't recommend trading this, just because this amount of volume, it could pull back to 142 and then come back down. So really just wait for it to get up to this area and then look for reactions. Okay, but yeah, just be careful on EJ. All right, but that's where we're at here. And throughout the week, guys, if you ever want to see how these are playing out, we posted these on TradingView, as well as the links in our Discord and Telegram. And they're like active charts. There'll be a play button. If you're not familiar with TradingView, you can click it, play it forward, see how price action is developing according to these analyses. So it's pretty useful. Some people like to use them. Yeah, they're just another advantage to your trading if you decide to use it. But let's finish up with gold. This is my last pair. I'm going to zoom out, go to the daily time frame. Same thing, right? And just assess the trend. What has gold been doing? Pushing lower, lower low, lower high, lower low. Beautiful lower high. I mean, this is ideal price action, ideal structure, just super clear. We push to a low, right? Good volume. Consolidates for a little bit, you know, in a good degree in relation to this push, and then drops again. Really good momentum. Pulls back, meets the lower low for the new lower high. You can just see that, right? With the crosshairs, guys, how these are all touching. Beautiful setup. And then tanks from there. So nice healthy pullback. Nice healthy continuation. Not too much volume, not too little. Great engulfing. And then it's been playing out beautifully ever since, right? Lower low here. The nice pullback, same thing. Lower high meets with the lower high. And then tank, same thing. So overall bearish is the point. Let's go to the 4-hour now. Get a closer look at what we got for the week ahead. So I got marked up a channel here. Pretty much just touching the highs, touching the lows, just for a visual aid, right? I'm not shorting off a trend line. I'm not buying off a trend line. Strictly visual, just showing really, or just another like reinforcement of the overall trend, right? Kind of like a subconscious reminder almost. You always want to be trading with the trend. That's where the highest probability trades are. I don't really recommend counter trend trading unless it's a beautiful setup. That's really what this is just all geared toward. Okay, so here we are on the 4-hour. What happened with gold? We consolidated a little bit here, then we had another push. Here's our downtrend. We broke 1675, so that was the break there, right? And then started consolidating. Again, beautiful consolidation, you know, in correlation to this here, right? Huge volume. You want a good amount of consolidation to follow that, right? That's how you know a trend is really going to stick, or if it's like a healthy trend, right? So we got that, and then we broke. Here's the push. We broke the support of the range right at 1660. So that automatically gave us a new fib level because we formed a lower low. And now we have things super clear, right? 38.2 right there. Even better confluence around our actual 1660 zone. Lines up right with 61.8. Can you guys see that? This is where we would be looking for the next lower high. And, you know, ideally our next short entry, short opportunity. And this would be perfect, right? This one's a good trade too. We're risking about 70 pips, looking to get about 260. This will slightly vary depending on where that actual entry is. But either way, it's going to be around, 3 to 1, maybe more. All right, so it's a good setup for us to consider gold bullish. If we break back into this range here and start bouncing off 1675, that's not bullish, right? That's still very much bearish. We just then wait for the break of the range. For us to say that this is totally bullish on the 4-hour at least, we need to see a break back above 1675, which is what all these candles failed to do, and then get new structure in the form of a higher low above. And then maybe you could start, taking some longs, targeting, key resistance, and then just working your way up, following price action. But yeah, not bad. Gold's looking good. Pretty excited to see if this will play out or not. Obviously this could tank as well. Just hit 1630 and then react. But we'll see. Either way it goes, we're going to have some opportunity and quite a few other setups on all these pairs. But yeah, that wraps it up for me, guys. Quick recap. Covered DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And yeah, so be following these. I'm going to pass it off to Angelo. Thanks, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right.
Yo, yeah, good stuff with the analysis. Obviously went through a lot there. If any of you guys want to follow, I see Ray posted Nick's link for the Telegram in there. So Nick posts all of his analyses in the Telegram for Forex League. You could also rewatch this video if you guys would like, but I highly recommend if any of you guys are struggling, more beginner with kind of doing your analysis, definitely try to leverage this and use this to learn. It's completely free, and I really think that this is something that could benefit, all of you guys. Just stay focused, on the call, and afterwards go back and, look over things. Like I said, do a little recap. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start with DXY because we always start with that pair no matter what. So let me share my screen. Yeah, last week with the dollar was just fucking crazy.
It's parabolic, man. The thing went nuts.
Dude, look at this thing. Like, gee Christ.
Oh,
So,
man.
as you guys can see, obviously the dollar, went a little crazy last week. But if you were on last week's Sunday Market Blitz, we were basically mapping out the two scenarios. If you guys can see my screen, 1 second. If you have any questions, feel free to post up in the chat. So looking at my screen right here, this is where we were last week, right? We were kind of trapped. We had marked down this little channel here. So we're kind of trapped in this area, and we were waiting, is price going to push to the upside? Is it going to push to the downside? We didn't know. All that we did know was that this level is a weekly liquidity zone. So it's a weekly level. And all that is not rocket science, just an area where previously price has been to and has pushed dramatically in either direction. So we like to look at these areas and just use them because we know there's going to be a lot of volatility. And as you can see, there was a ton of volatility in this zone. So let's go ahead and look. So this thing jumped up pretty much about 3%, right? So this thing moved up 3% last week, DXY. And we had lined this up with some of the pairs. Last week was definitely analysis-wise one of the better weeks, because since the dollar moved so much, we were pretty much forecasting in the direction of the dollar being stronger on all of these pairs. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to delete this one. Obviously, we're all the way up here. Considering where price has moved to now, let's just hop back up to the weekly time frame. Now we actually got to draw a new level. This level down here is not as relevant just because of how high we've gotten. So zooming out a bit, now we have to start to look in this area and just kind of where is our next level, our key level. And zooming in here, we can very clearly see we had a serious major resistance or level of resistance here. We had a very minor level right there. We had a pretty major level right here, moved up quite a bit. And then we had a more major level right there. So this entire zone right here, we can mark down. And if we wanted to tidy this up a little bit, normally I don't try to draw the zones that wide, but this definitely is covering a very key area, looking at all this resistance, support, all this indecision in this area and then support in this area. And then as you can see, price actually made its way with that push last week. We actually made our way above this zone. So price actually broke right through this area, and now we're sitting above here. Now, the reason I personally like to mark down a level is just because it gives me some way to justify, am I going to take a long position? Am I going to wait for price to come back into this area and start to consolidate and then push back to the downside? Obviously, we're on the weekly time frame, so a ton of time would have to go by for that to happen. But I just like to see where our areas are, and then obviously looking even more north, what is kind of our next main level up here. And obviously we have like these 3 peaks right here. So we have resistance here, we have resistance here, we have resistance here. But even looking further left, obviously this is pretty old. It's going back all the way into the 80s, but looking pretty left here, starting to get down, where were some levels back here? Look how freaking choppy the market was back here. So looking at some levels back here, it's not like the clearest thing in the entire world. Like there's definitely one all the way up in this area. And then if we're starting to get back towards where price currently is, there's definitely a little level right here. And I'm basing that off of this resistance where price pushed to the downside, support here, and then we had some resistance in this area as well. So we're going to leave that as a level. And as we move to the left here, we could even adjust this to be more relevant, maybe to more recent price action. But I'm going to leave that for now because we're not even really near that area yet. So pretty much knowing that on the weekly, we're very bullish, right? We're extremely bullish. We just made a new higher high. Unless fundamentals are going to continue to drive this thing, right? Unless there's going to be a catalyst that keeps the dollar being bullish and just moves right up into this 115 area, it's very likely that we're going to get some sort of pullback, some pullback at all. And if we start to get stuck in this area, we could see some consolidation. So the consensus on DXY as of right now is just obviously very bullish. So heading over to GU, with that correlating directly with, DXY, obviously last week, huge sell-off on GU. We had put out some, like we talked about this on last week's call. Looking at where GU is now, if we just zoom out, right, like GU has not been down here for quite some time. And last week we marked down this level down here just because it's like the support level on this more recent kind of dip, or not more recent, but the last time price was in this area, which was all the way in literally 1985. And before that, never even been in this area. So it is in some pretty uncharted territory right now. Going down to the 4-hour time frame with last week's trade, this was pretty like straightforward. We had put like a sell limit up here, so we didn't exactly, if you trade according to exactly how I wrote it, you wouldn't have got in. But basically this was just weekly time frame bearish, 4-hour time frame, it was as bearish as it gets. It just broke this level, it broke this trend line, right? First lower high, looking for the first lower high. We were trying to wait for a retest in this area, obviously missed it by a few pips, but this thing ended up pushing down pretty significantly, right? Like this is kind of TP1 was that red zone, and then now it's just, fell off the face of the earth. So I have nothing, there's no like play on GU in my opinion. Like I'm not personally trying to get in on a trade on GU. At this point now, it's just a waiting game. We're just waiting to see how does price react once it gets down into this area. Does it start to consolidate and then we get a huge push kind of back to the upside, or does GU keep kind of decelerating and going to the downside or accelerating to the downside, right? So we'll kind of see what happens with this. Again, I just have no play at this point on GU. NU, much of the same story. Last week, we were lining this up to be bearish just because this is like the prototypical, at least according to the way I look at things, weekly time frame lined up with the 4-hour time frame. So this thing just perfectly like was lining up with confluences to take a sell. Weekly, we were like sitting right at this red zone. So we were kind of monitoring that area, but as you can see, downtrend all the way. Best play would have been like the break and now retest, which was, we just had a large break. So at this point, it would be great to get like a retest of this 0.59, but it moved down obviously so significantly last week. Last week was, let's see. Yeah, moved down 4%. So DXY moved up 3%. This moved down 4%. Crazy week last week. Coming to the 4-hour, we were looking for sells on this one, very similar to NU. I had put my entry position in this area. As you guys can see, this thing was just bearish all the way. Once it broke support here, it just kept retesting the previous low and just pushing to the downside, even right here, retested that red zone. So this is a pretty good area to actually, looking back on this, like getting on a re-entry. Last week was, we were pretty much on last week's call. Let's see, on the 18th. So it was right here. So this is when we were on the call. I was waiting for it to come up here. It ended up pushing down. Then it retested the red zone. Then you had your bearish engulfing. This would have been the perfect area to actually enter on this one. And I'm not just saying that, like the reason that I would actually enter there is because we have our red zones. This is, we know price is going to move off this area with a lot of volatility, and we have the momentum, so it's in a downtrend. We have the sell signal, right? There's not much more you need to enter a trade on that, so that definitely would have been a good trade. And then as you can see, this thing is just flung to the downside. So coming up to the weekly time frame, let's just zoom out again, right? These pairs are just in unprecedented areas. NU has actually been in these areas a bit, like a lot more than GU actually. So let's try to see where is another potential area on NU. It looks like this area could actually be a potential zone to monitor. We have some resistance here, we have support here, and then pulling it left, we have this major support right there. So price push off of here with a lot of volatility. So basically we're just waiting for price. As you can see, this also is relevant there. Basically now let's wait for price to come into this zone. So if you're holding a trade, if you entered this trade from last week, you shouldn't really not be closing this thing until it comes to this level. There's nothing stopping this from coming down into this 0.565 area. Remember, like the market is simply going to look for the best price, where people are going to end up exiting their positions and more people are going to end up entering their positions. So they're looking for where is the liquidity, right? And liquidity is down in this area based previously as what we've seen. And we've already rejected this area. It is very high probability at this point that price, the market is going to even out at this level down here, which is, if this thing would let me, which is only 1.5% away. It's very likely it'll even out at that level as opposed to regaining 4% going to the upside. So just be mindful of that, like if you're taking trades on NU, this thing is going to keep going to the downside and might retest this support level, but it's just going to keep going to the downside. So I'm not taking any trades until that one. We've talked about this many times, like when the market makes big moves, especially as like a swing trader, it's just, if you don't get on the moves, that's pretty much it. And now you got to wait for something to happen. Like if this thing comes down here and starts to consolidate, then we can start to look for buys, maybe back to the upside. But then remember, we're counter trend trading the overall trend, which is just bearish. So yeah, nothing really doing on NU for the week. Let's go over to GJ. GJ, we got a little bit closer last week. So last week, if we come to last week when we were on the call, which was right here, pretty much coming up to the weekly time frame, it was pretty obvious we had rejected this level once, twice, 3 times, right? So we rejected the liquidity zone, which we just talked about, why this is an important area on any pair. And then pretty much this is obviously bullish. This is a counter trend trade. But on the 4-hour, rejected the zone. Now we're just looking for the first lower high point. We had mapped out the fib. I don't really use this much, but fib was right around this area, the 38.2, right? So that's right where we wanted to enter, previous low. And then price ended up coming up very damn close to that level. It actually almost came back up and wicked it when we had some news come out. And then as you can see, this thing ended up pushing to the downside right there. So very interesting. If you guys don't use the replay tool, it's actually really cool to use the replay tool to look at the news. So you can look at the previous news events, and then you can kind of see how things affected it. So if you look here, there was a shit ton of volatility like right there. And that's right when this, news event came out, Bank of England interest rate decision. Obviously, that had a huge impact, on the market. This thing freaking fluctuated like 3% within 4 hours. Like that's nuts. Like
Just a cool 3%
dude,
fluctuation.
this
God.
thing glitched. How does that even happen? This thing glitched a whole 3% in 4 hours. Like
That's
fuck.
the volume we're dealing with. That's incredible. 500 pips almost on that.
God damn, like there was so much money transacted within that period of time.
Oh yeah,
4
billions.
hours. Oh my God, that's fucking
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
incredible.
That's all the AI, the bots just firing, just like fucking cannons, like
Oh my God, GJ, man. I mean, that's the pair to do it on. I mean, that's where the volume is, right? It's the most moving pair, Forex wise. And oh my Lord.
yeah, and this thing ended up.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you guys got in on any trade up here, I mean, shit, 8-to-1 risk reward. Now
Having a good week.
looking at this week, 'cause it's just tough. I mean, when it comes to swing trading, when there's these huge swings, there's really not much to be done. This just broke everything. I mean, this just shattered all hopes and dreams of GJ just like going to the upside. Like this is like the down. This is just like the end of GJ. Like this thing just broke such a massive trend. I mean, if we even went up to the monthly time frame, we watched on the monthly, we obviously have little time left in this month. That type of rejection right there, like crazy. So this is just actually a good kind of learning lesson is guys, we were looking at this level so many times, right? Like this weekly zone, basing it off of this resistance, this support right there. Actually, no, down here, this support, this resistance, even going further back, we had some resistance here, some support there, support. So this level has been relevant for quite some time, where price has hit it and then rejected it in with a lot of volatility to one side. And as you can see again, we didn't take buys, we didn't really get on the buyer side on this one because of that level and how significant it was. We didn't get lost in these zones right here, or this zone right here, right? We just continued our bias that we're gonna take a trade off of that level, which is the most significant thing to be looking at. And then this thing ended up pushing, 7% to the downside, which is just like literally insane. But coming up to the weekly now, I mean, there's nothing really doing on this. When I zoom out and I want to mark kind of my next level here, I like to just do what looks like the most common. And I see obviously this support. And then this is relevant. So you have resistance. So this is definitely a key area that I'm going to wait for price to come into. So we have a lot of room to fall. And considering we're still near this zone, it's very likely that price is going to come up to retest this previous high point, and then it's going to go to the downside. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of GJ, like coming to the 4 hour. I'm really just looking for the pullback right now. Even if it started to pull back from the moment we got off this call, no, it doesn't line up with 38.2, but trying to see if fibs. Before you fib, guys, just so for the beginners on here, like just always wait until there's some sort of variation at the bottom, or else there's really no point of actually fibbing it, like some sort of trend reversal. So yeah, GJ, much like these other pairs, nothing much doing on this one. Let's come over to UCAD. So UCAD absolutely smoked this level of resistance. And on the call last week, if we just go back, we have this. Pretty much we're at this level, and we were saying the same shit as right now is, all right, guys, we're closer to this red zone than this red zone. So price is going to most likely reach that area. We were only going to take sells if we consolidated and then broke and then went to the downside. This thing came up, good. We had our first rejection. Now we need to break this higher low that forms right there. Never does, pushes the upside, thing just flies to the upside. So coming back up to the weekly, you know, obviously this thing has made some serious leaps, and zooming out a bit, let's try to make sense of where the hell we are at. And I'm going to now draw my next zone up here. I'm just going to zoom in to try to see if that area is relevant. I'm going to push this here. All right, so we've got multiple reasons why this zone is here. We have resistance here. We have resistance right there. We have support right there. And then coming back, we have resistance here. This is obviously way further back. We have all support, all resistance. So this is definitely going to be an area with a ton of liquidity. Looking at the 4 hour, right? This thing just is on a tear to the upside right now. So once again, right, if you're trying to take scalps or intradays, whatever, this is going to come up into this zone. We're not taking sells unless this happens. We're not taking buys unless we get a retest. Like, that's just strategy. That's the way that I go about trading. So UCAD, you know, you have a lot of room here to push up. Got 90 pips to push to the upside. So if you guys are trying to get it on UCAD trades this week, you know, be careful, be mindful of this. Also, if this thing pulls back and retests this high, that's also fair games to actually take buys as well. So be mindful of that area, because overall we are in an uptrend. So that's UCAD. Coming over to NAS 100, I think this was the one trade that we gave last week, which actually opened. So if we go back to when the market had opened, we were right here, and we were mapping out a few different scenarios on this one. Pretty much either retesting this resist or this support level, and we're below the red zone as well, so it's kind of double confirmation right there. Or this is way less probability right here, coming up to retest this high, and then obviously if it broke and had a shift of momentum, we would have then looked to target this upper zone. But we actually had a nice rejection of the red area. We had 2 areas were rejected. We had this bearish variation, which was a good area to enter on. And then from there, you should have just been selling this thing all the way. And now, I mean, there is no reason to close the position. We have this area down here. This still has 2% to move to the downside. So again, no reason to close on NAS if you guys are holding right now. Keep holding this thing until it gets down to the 1100 area. And if we zoom out on the weekly, we can see why this level is marked. So this has resistance there, support. So this is a key level. We have support right there. So don't close your orders if you're in a sell on NAS 100. As for this week, we are not taking a trade unless price comes here. And again, the same old story. It's got to consolidate and break to the upside, or breaks and continues to the downside. So that's NAS 100. So those are all the pairs that I'm going to be going over in regards to kind of margin trading. Last pair that I like to do is cover BTC. So if you guys have any comments, any questions, feel free to post in the chat. Remember, we are doing the giveaway. All I got to do is post on your Instagram story, tag the funded trader, tag Forex League, just show that you are in the Sunday market blitz. So coming over to BTC, this thing had a pretty rough week. Didn't like, you know, do anything too crazy, but again, didn't create any momentum or anything. Just kind of consolidated, formed this spinning top candle right here. I'm starting to see a lot of people get very bearish on BTC. A lot of targets that BTC is coming to 5K, BTC is coming to 11K, right? And in my opinion, this is very good signs. You know, as soon as the mass of people start to doubt BTC, that's kind of when it's game time. it's kind of when it's time for BTC to actually move up. So the more and more people that start to doubt this pair, definitely better, I think, overall, in my just honest opinion, because that means we're just getting away from all the people that want to make all this quick money. And ultimately, that means that we're getting towards prices that all the real money wants to actually come in at. So one thing I want to comment on when it comes to BTC, coming over the total market cap, guys, on crypto right now, so all crypto combined, is 900 billion. To put that into context, the total market cap of Apple, just one of the largest tech stocks in the US, but only one of them, is 3 trillion. So that means, amongst all shares, stocks, the value is around 3 trillion in Apple. There's only 900 billion in all of crypto right now, right? So the reason that's important is because as crypto moves to become more regulated, that means that more of these financial advisors, family offices, hedge funds, and financial institutions, they will start to diversify 1-2% of their clients' portfolios into crypto. And that's just going to be an influx of money into the market, into the market cap. And if this market cap increases by 5x, as we've seen previously, BTC is going to, considering it's like the index, it's going to appreciate. A lot of money will pour into BTC, and we will see BTC's price, and that's why we'll see the price appreciate. And that's why ultimately people have the price targets at 100K, right? Because we've seen the market cap reach 2.8 trillion. Well, what if the market cap reaches, I don't know off the top of my head what gold is. I think it's like 10 trillion. So it's like, what if the market cap reaches 10 times, what it currently is? And a lot of that is pushed into BTC, with the thought that BTC will be will remain one of the most dominant kind of crypto pairs. If this thing increases by 10x, as we see here, this thing could hit 180K.
And then we're all rich, guys.
Which is like fucking nuts.
For
at that
real.
At that point, I don't even know if money is gonna be like a thing anymore. Like,
right. I know what you're saying.
Well, they say that I saw some weird stat that said by 2026, the world's like 40% of the world's millionaires will be made by 2026.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're basing that off of, but
Some big predictions.
it's a bold prediction there.
Right.
I have a feeling that crypto is definitely going to weigh heavily on that. I mean, just think, if this thing appreciates to 10 times what it's currently valued at right now, if it makes it all the way up to 180K, if you put in right now $1,000, right, and this thing goes up times 9, right, that's a pretty good or what would it go up by? 90? Is that what it is? I don't even know.
90x, you're saying?
Yeah, I guess it would be 90.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Now talk about a gain and a half. So I think
nine times your money.
it's 9 times. So I mean, even $1,000, guys, like $1,000, 9 times your money, get back, freaking whatever, 10 times your money, get back 10,000. I think it's worth taking the risk on.
Oh, absolutely.
Those going to be.
I did that on going to be one of those millionaires. Write it down. I don't doubt it. I mean, you guys keep showing up, keep, sticking with trading and making the right moves. There's no doubt whatsoever.
No.
Anything's possible these days, really.
Yeah, and guys, even looking at XRP, like when crypto is ready, this thing's just gonna move. I ain't trying to be like that guy, but crypto's down right now. When it was at its highs, you guys were wishing that you were buying, and this is when everyone was telling you to buy. Oh, it's all the way up here. Get in. Well, this thing's all the way fucking down here now, and we're telling you to buy now because this is actually the time you should be buying. Like,
right. Usually it's the opposite of what the general notion is,
Yeah. So definitely should be buying now. So that's pretty much it, for my analysis. Hope all you guys enjoyed it. This will be posted on YouTube. For anyone that's interested, Nick and myself did a 10 video course, like a short course, just talks about our experiences with funding programs, gives you guys some insights on what we think about the brokers, the challenges, different stats, things like that. So that's available with Forex League inside of the Telegram. It's only $39. So if you guys want to get in on that, that's now available. For TFT, there is a promotion going on right now. So just go over to TFT's Discord, check that out. And then last thing, if you guys, hold on one second. If you guys haven't done it already, we have a giveaway going on in TFT, 400K standard challenge. So one person's going to win a 400K standard challenge. The details are over in there. So go into the Discord and check that out. And then one last thing that I want to show you and everyone else is the competition for September. So this competition got pretty nuts. So we had 15,000 people register for the competition. Right now there's 6,000 people left. I think some guy did like this analysis in Discord. I'm gonna actually pull it up, and it was a pretty crazy like analysis. So he pretty much said in February we had 8,500 people join, only 500 people made it to the end. Last month we had 11,500 people join and only 356 made it to the end.
Wow.
Those are some low percentages.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like this
People
month,
are swinging for the fences. That's what
yeah,
I'm gathering.
this month we're definitely on the pace is better. I think the number is so much higher this month for some reason. So people are more successful this month. So every month it's been anywhere from a 3 to 6% have just completely blown up their account and got disqualified. And then this month it's hovering around 40%. So I don't know what the people are doing this month better, but they're doing something.
Yeah, I think it's a change of strategy. Everyone tried to swing for the fences. They
Virgin
said, all right,
traders.
we tried. Virgin traders for real.
Holy
Oh man.
shit. Yeah, so we have some changes coming for next month's competition, more prizes, different rules. So if you guys want to check that out, go over to the dashboard, the TFT dashboards where you guys can register for the competition. But we'll see this month who wins. We only got a couple days left. We got obviously people in first. This guy's up 270%. But like this guy just hit like one trade. Like what even is this?
Yeah, he had a massive trade. Was he trading indices?
Oh my god.
Oh, it's Forex.
What did he actually make money on though? Let's see.
Oh,
Oh
there
my
you go. 26 grand on UCAD. Ah,
UJ.
UJ and UCAD.
Wow, this guy had some big swings on that. See, this is just somebody who like has multiple accounts and just reverses it. Like
It's
there's
just, yep,
no
just
way this
loading
guy's
up.
just hitting a 40 lot on Youssef and then he's following that up. He's following that up with his eyes closed. UCAD hitting like 40%, and then he hits 100% on UJ back to back to back trades. Like, yeah, okay.
Legendary.
Let's see that strategy live. Like, jeez,
Oh man.
Christ.
Definitely not a strategy I would promote. Hopefully you guys are, way more strict on the actual challenges, but yeah. Wow.
Like at least this guy's got some dips.
Yeah, the other guy's vertical, just straight up.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Yeah, this next month we got some changes coming. This guy is the same. What did he do? Oh my Lord. This guy just hits 40 lots.
That's the rocket ship strategy right there.
When you start risking more and more to get up the ranking, then most of them blow and end up blowing. Yeah, so yeah, John, I agree with you. But it's like the point of the competition is whole point of the competition is just do your best. Like people missing that idea these days.
Yeah.
Trying to hit home runs. I get it. Don't get me wrong, but so yeah, if you guys are interested in the competition next month, make sure y'all register. And that's pretty much it for the Sunday Market Blitz. So best of luck to all
Yeah.
y'all this week. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah. Another good week, guys. Good luck. See you guys.
Peace out, everybody.